Well, let's bring up Tyler Hughes. He's the co-founder and CTO over at Vizion API. And sir, you got great hair. You got great. Can I borrow some? Yeah, come over here. She was a little far away. Come over one more. Just shout at each other.
Yeah,
nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Thanks
for having me.
I like the whole thing.
You like the hair? You like the shirt?
I like the shirt. I like the thing. Yeah.
Got it going on? Okay.
Where do you guys come in from? Where's Vizion based out of?
So we're based all over the U.S. We have a fully remote team. Headquarters is in the Bay Area, Palo Alto. So that's where I flew in from to wonderful Cleveland here. But it's a fully remote team. We're just around 40 people.
Sweet. People who may not have met you. One of the great things is partnerships, meeting new companies. What's the elevator on Vizion?
Vizion is a supply chain and data provider. So we focus primarily on containerized freight. We started with movements over the water, and we've been able to expand that into providing high-quality visibility data for movements over the water into the terminal, and now we've added just recently North American Class 1 rail.
You know, I know something about you.
Oh, do you?
You used to work at Netflix, didn't you?
I did used to work at Netflix, yes.
I got a question, because it made me curious when I saw that. What does Netflix teach you about freight? Because Netflix, before they went fully digital, they were like the kings of Final Mile.
That's a really good point. Well, I'd say one of the first things that I learned about freight, and specific to Netflix, was that DVDs were really fragile.
Yeah.
Until Netflix got involved. So I guess maybe one of the big things that I took away there is that if you're moving enough stuff at scale, it's usually in your interest to have a hand in the development and the innovation of the products that you're moving. So Netflix, in that case, actually spent a long time working with many of the DVD disc manufacturers at that point to actually strengthen the discs to make sure they were easier to ship and not coming back broken.
I love it. Everything's a supply chain. Well, you're the co-founder. Do you remember when you got the idea for the company, how this all came about? What's the story behind the story?
Yeah. So really pretty plain and simple. We built it to solve our own pain points.
Yeah.
So myself, my co-founder Kyle, we got started in the visibility space and in supply chain itself with a company called Clear Metal, building out visibility applications. In that process, we learned a lot about data access, data quality, and how you can apply that data to a number of different places. So I think for us, it was a big inspiration to move it closer to the data itself, actually focus on getting that and making it more accessible to a wider market and really to new industries as well.
Now, we talk about visibility a lot, right? So much so that it just kind of becomes a buzzword. So I want to ask you, define visibility to me and what it means to you.
Well, I think that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Right? Because really,
I know that.
visibility it means something different to just about everybody. For us, visibility means high quality information, understanding where is my box at any given point in time. I think the next question to answer is, where is it going? When is it going to be there? Are there going to be things that I need to account for as the shipment continues down the road? Those are, I think, high-level things. But then from there, it's a bit more than just understanding where is the box, right? It's what do I do, right?
Yeah.
How do I take action? How do I start to execute and use this information to do things with my business, to optimize, to plan, right? So I think it's one of the things that we've really kind of leaned into over the last couple of years, where visibility data is still core to what we provide and what we sell to our customers, but we've also been able to take all of that visibility data that we've been able to collect at scale and understand how that looks at an analytics perspective, or from an AI or an ML perspective. So using that for understanding port congestion, understanding port performance, understanding the throughput, really starting to uncover more of those black boxes that we've been able to see over the last couple of years, where the adjustments need to be made. You need to be able to account for things going on that are not necessarily being reported by any of the providers that you're getting data from today.
Where are you seeing bigger blank spots? Is it on the ocean side? Is it on the rail side? Which part of the intermodal or the shipping equation is there?
Well, I think it's the fun part, right? Is the black box is always kind of moving around.
Yeah.
It's always shifting. When we got started, the big question was, can you just get good ocean visibility, right?
Yeah.
Just over the water. So that's where we began. Things started getting crazy in the ports and the terminals. So we started to really amplify the visibility, or the lack of visibility, inside of those ports and terminals. So we went and we started to add connections there, and we've been able to bring light into the terminals and ports. For me, and what we've been able to see so far is that black box just continues to shift further inland, right? So I think to give you maybe a more holistic answer there, it's visibility data to actually be good and be meeting most of the needs of the industry itself. Is it needs to be as full spectrum as possible, right? So it needs to be going further inland. You need the rail connections. You need the rail data coming in. I'd say, where is it worse now? Probably drayage.
Yeah.
Drayage.
I mean, especially with the port backups and everything. Would you say in supply chain, trauma is the biggest accelerant to like a shipper's interest in this type of technology?
I think it was a driver and a forcing function to get people to actually make good on the promises they had been saying for a number of years, right? So we got started tail end of 2018, beginning of 2019, and built out a lot of the early product before things got really crazy, just under the assumption that people needed this data. They just needed access to this, and there weren't very many providers at that point in time that were able to or willing to provide it in the way that we were looking to do. So, from my end, it was really just kind of a natural progression. But like I said, a bit of a forcing function. Things went crazy, and it went from, visibility is important. It's in my top 5. We'll get to it. To, oh crap, I don't have people monitoring this stuff by hand anymore. I can't monitor this by hand anymore. Everything is on fire. I don't have just a small pile of things that I need to go and care about. I need to care about everything. I need to understand the fleet as a whole. And so I think that really lit a fire under a lot of folks to get visibility data built into their systems, and that's what we specialize in, right? Is bringing that data wherever you need it, however you need it. So regardless of the tooling that you have, regardless of the systems that you use today, we're able to bring that data right to you.
What is the hardest problem you're trying to solve right now?
It's still stitching all of that data together.
Yeah.
It's still reconciling that data. It's still cleaning it. It's standardizing it. It's turning bad data, a bunch of bad data, into good payloads that can actually be actionable. Like I mentioned before, things that you can actually take action on, things that you can build your execution models on. From there, I think it's, turning that into insight, turning that into analytics, right? Being able to use this to think about, how do I plan? How do I optimize? How do I analyze this for risk?
Yeah.
Right? So really taking the next step past visibility, like I said, and just using it for where is the box, where is it going, but how can I better move my freight in general?
What does your data say about the freight market right now?
Things have slowed down a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we noticed.
We know about the rate drops, right? I mean, things are definitely slower these days. But I think one of the things that still holds true is, regardless of the volume, regardless of the speed at which the rate is moving, visibility is still required. You still need to know where things are, and maybe even more so when things are going slow, because now the expectations don't drop when the rates do, right?
Look, as a former ocean freight guy, especially one who dealt with like perishable fish, I am very happy that visibility's coming in, because we all get like way too many phone calls and interactions. It's such a part of the supply chain that you want to automate and get better.
Absolutely. I mean, it directly affects your bottom line, right? We've got a customer, one of our larger ones, who without understanding terminal visibility, was incurring, just in the first half of last year, about $500 million in detention and demurrage fees, but just because they didn't understand when last free days were going to be happening.
Yeah.
Right? So being able to have that built into the visibility data we provide them.
And some of it too is that you couldn't move the boxes, right? Like they were just you couldn't get it if you wanted to.
Well, maybe that's a whole other topic too. But I mean, containers used as storage, right? I mean, that's a big thing these days.
Yeah. So I got to ask you, what's been your hardest day as a founder?
My hardest day as a founder. Yeah. Ooh, that's a really good question. My hardest day as a founder was probably it was before we raised money, if I've got to say. Thinking back to early days as a startup, we began as a two-man band, right? We started things ourselves. We bootstrapped as long as we could. I'd say the hardest days as a founder were really those days where we still didn't, we were confident we had the right product. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to time it well enough or wait long enough for the market to actually start to pick it up.
Interesting.
And so there were definitely points in that first year and a half where we had to seriously consider, can we keep this going? Do I need to go and find another job? I quit everything that I was doing and worked on this full time to get things up and going. So I think there were definitely a few hard moments there where I had to consider, was leaving Netflix the right choice?
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
But looking back on it now, one of the best decisions I ever made. That brought me into the supply chain space, and I remember coming to my first event. I think it's been about 2 years ago now. and just meeting all the folks and realizing these are my people.
Yeah.
And so
I'll warn you, once you end up in here, though, it's hard to get out.
I have no intentions on
They're all
going
shaking
anywhere.
their heads. They're like, I know, I didn't know what was happening. I took
stuck.
a job for a year, and now it's 20 years later.
I'm stuck. I'm hooked. I've told people one of my worst addictions is shipping containers, right?
Yeah.
And
Nobody
they laugh, and
understands,
it's like,
aside from people in this room.
Well,
They're
that's why I
like,
said,
I get it. It's
I've
like
got my
it's
people
AA
here, right?
for shipping containers up here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what was your best? I don't want to leave you on a bad note. Then, what was your best day as a founder?
best
Aside
day
from
as
being
a
on What the
founder.
Truck today.
It's usually when I have that full team together. So like I
Yeah.
said, we're a fully remote team. The best days as a founder for me are usually that final day or the second to last day when we've got everyone together. So we had a company offsite about a month and a half ago, and on that last day we were able to bring everybody together, have a nice team dinner, and really be able to spend time with everyone that you see, or everyone that you see on the screen over and over again, right? Being able to go in and have those personal connections and be able to talk to them as human to human, face to face is a markedly different feeling than being on the screen every day. So I think it's usually getting the team together and honestly being able to take stock of how much we've grown over that course of the year, right? It's always just mind blowing to me how quickly this has escalated, right? Like I said, 2-man band in 2019 to about 40 people today.
I love how proud you sound. And 40 is a great time in startups too.
Yeah.
Because before you get too big, you still know everybody.
Yep.
Start getting over 100, that it gets a little bit different.
It's been beautiful. We've got a fantastic team of people, absolute geniuses on staff.
Here, hit the cowbell for them. Hit them for your team.
Oh, you're gonna.
There you go. It's good. Good shot. People want to find you here. They want to talk more about visibility, vision.
Yeah.
Where are you visible?
We are. I need to actually forget our booth number now, but we're actually just directly back this way. So if you go straight back into the corner next in front of the pallet trader trailer, we are right there.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me, man.
Take care. All right, here's our truck.